Hello, today we will learn about the second chapter of class 11. According to NCERT, this is the second chapter, but as far as exam is concerned, this is the first chapter of class 11. So, today we will learn about units and measurement. In this chapter, we will learn about units of some physical quantity, dimension of some physical quantity, dimensional analysis of some physical quantities, measurement of length, significant figure, errors in measurement, and calculation of percentage error of some known and unknown quantities. Let's start with units. To start about unit, we have to learn about physical quantity because we can measure the units of some physical quantities. So, what is physical quantity? Natural incident that we can measure is known as physical quantities. There are various natural incidents in our nature. So, we are calculating the mass, the length, the weight, the acceleration, the frequency. Both are the physical quantities and both are the natural incident also. So, the natural incident that we can measure is known as physical quantities. Now the units. Units are basically it can be divided in two different forms. Number one, basic or fundamental. Number two, derive. Basic or fundamental unit are length, mass and time. Normally we will start with these three, but we will explain this later. Length, mass and time are the basic physical quantities. These physical quantities can be measured with CGS, MKS and FPS পদ্ধতি. These are the three standard measurement unit system for us. CGS centimeter gram second, MKS meter kilogram second and FPS are foot pound second. Sometimes MKS measurement system is known as SI unit system, but there is a difference between MKS and SI unit system. We will learn it about later. Centimeter, meter and foot are the units of length. Gram, kilogram and pound are the basic units for mass, and second is the basic unit for all types of measurement system. Length, mass and time are the basic physical quantities, but in SI unit we can consider 7 fundamental units. The basic or fundamental units, these units are considered that this will explain all type of derived unit, but in critical cases we can see these three fundamental units cannot solve all our requirement. This is why these 7 measurement unit system are required. These are length, mass, time, current, temperature, amount of matter, that is mole, and candela is the unit of luminous intensity or light intensity. Here is a list to measure the physical name of these basic physical quantities and their name and symbol. Length in SI unit system is meter and symbol by small m. Mass kilogram and it is symbolized by kg. Time second symbolized by s. Electric current unit ampere symbolized by capital A. Thermodynamic temperature or temperature of unit Kelvin and symbolized by capital K. Amount of substance of unit m and symbolized by mole. Luminous intensity is unit candela and it is defined by CD. With these 7, there are 2 supplementary units also. The supplementary units are angle and solid angle. Now we will learn about angle and solid angle and how we can measure a plane angle with a radian with a unit of radian d theta as the ratio of length of arc ds as shown in figure to the radius r. B. Solid angle with a unit of steradian. It is defined by d omega as the ratio of intercept area dA of a spherical surface described about the apex O as the center of square of its radius. So these are the two supplementary unit and 7 basic or fundamental unit. Total 9 unit are considered to be SI measurement system. Now we will learn about dimension or matra. In this case, length, mass and time, these three basic quantities are symbolized by capital A, capital M and capital T. Sometimes we will use the all 7 fundamental quantities. Now let's start with these 3. Always remember that length, mass and T, it is defined by capital and always it is quoted by a bracket. Naturally we have used third bracket, sometimes first bracket also. Now we will try to measure some dimension. Dimension of velocity. Dimension velocity is defined by this physical quantity. Velocity is defined by displacement and time. So displacement is a measurement of length. So we can write length by time. So L by T, and we can write L T to the power minus 1. Now acceleration. Dimension of acceleration. The physical quantity acceleration is defined by velocity by time. We have calculated the dimension of velocity. So the dimension of velocity is Lt to the power minus 1 is divided by t. So this is Lt to the power minus 2. Now we will calculate about the dimension of force. Force, this physical quantity can be written as mass into acceleration. So dimension of mass is m and the dimension of acceleration Lt to the power minus 2. So finally this is m Lt to the power minus 2. Always remember that this dimension is always written within a third bracket. Now that dimensional analysis, let us consider a equation x plus y is equal to z. This equal sign define three terms. Number 1, the left hand side and right hand side are equal in amplitude. Number 2, the left hand side and right hand side are equal in unit. And number 3, this should be equal in dimension also. If these three condition is properly covered, then we can write the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. With the help of this, we can check the dimensional consistency of equation, and with the help of this we can consider the relation between the different measurement system. At first we will check the dimensional consistency of equation. We said that a equation written by equal always satisfied the relation dimension of left hand side is equal to dimension of right hand side. So let us consider a equation s is equal to ut plus half t ft square. Now dimension of left hand side, it is s, that is a length, so L. Dimension of right hand side ut plus half ft square. This is the basic rule to calculate a dimension. Ut and half ft square will be dimensionally same, then we can calculate this. Let us use the dimension of u, that is velocity, Lt to the power minus or time t. This is the numerical value half, this is dimensionless. So due to f we can use Lt to the power minus 2 and t square is t to the power minus 2. So finally this side provide L plus this side, this multiplication will provide L, and finally this is L. So the left hand dimension of left hand side satisfied the dimension of right hand side, both are the L. This is why we can make relation between two measurement system. We will explain this later. Now let us consider a problem to make this relation. The problem is find the relation between joule and arc. We everyone know that joule and arc are the unit of SI and CGS unit of work. So we have to make the relation. We know that joule and arc are the SI and CGS unit of work, and 1 joule is equal to 10 to the power 7 arc. We will prove this relation. To satisfy this relation, first we have to find the dimension of work. The physical quantity work is defined as force into displacement. We have calculated the dimension of force, that is mLT to the power minus 2, and the displacement is a length, so L. Finally, the dimension of work is mL square T to the power minus 2. Let the unit of mass, length and time in CGS and SI unit system are respectively M1, L1, T1, and in SI unit M2, L2, T2. Let we have to consider 1 joule is equal to n arc. So we have to find the value of n. According to dimension of work, we can say 1 into m2 in L2 square to T2 to the power minus 2 is equal to n into m1 L1 square T to the power minus 2. So we are using the unit with respect to dimension. Now we have to find n. This is a easy and natural calculation. So m2 by m1, L2 by L1 and T2 by T1. Now we will use the value of this m2 and m1. We will use the value of m2, that is 1 kilogram. We will use the value of L2, that is 1 millimeter, and T2 is 1 second. Similarly, m1 1 gram, L1 1 centimeter, and T2 1 second. So 1 kg is equal to 10 to the power 3 gram. We will convert this different unit into a same unit. So 1 kilogram is equal to 10 to the power 3 gram, 1 meter is equal to 10 to the power 2 centimeter, and 1 second and 1 second both will provide 1 to the power minus 2, that is 1. So this gram and this gram will eliminate. Finally, we can find 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 2 whole square, that is 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 4, finally 10 to the power 7. So we can conclude 1 joule is equal to 10 to the power 7 arc. Now we will consider about the measurement of length. We can measure the length in indirect method, that is triangulation method, reflection method, and parallel method. There are many other different processes also, but we will focus on the direct method. What is direct method? We have used so far that we can compare a given length with some standard length. In this class, we will learn about the vernier scale and screw gauge. Vernier scale are basically used in slide caliper. This we will show in our practical day. But in case of theory, we will find the vernier constant also. This we will have to calculate the vernier constant of a vernier scale. Vernier scale is used for accurate measurement of length. How we can use it accurately? let we calculate the Vernier constant. This is why let the smallest division of main scale is m unit. If we properly align Vernier 0 with main scale 0, then it will be observed that y unit of Vernier scale is exactly equal to x unit of main scale. So y unit of Vernier scale is equal to x unit of main scale. Now we will use the unitary method. 1 unit of Vernier scale is equal to x by y unit of main scale. So length of 1 unit of Vernier scale is equal to x by y into m, that is the smallest division of main scale. So we will find the Vernier constant C is equal to 1 unit of main scale minus 1 unit of Vernier scale, that is m minus x by y into m. If we consider m as common, so we can find 1 minus x by y into m. Finally, C is equal to 1 minus x by y into m. With the help of this formula, we can find the Vernier constant of the scale used in our practical lab. Normally the standard Vernier scale we have used. So normally in our standard scale, smallest division of main scale is equal to 1 millimeter. This type of scale we have used so far. If we align Vernier 0 with main scale 0, then we will find 10 unit of Vernier scale is equal to 9 unit of main scale. That is, according to our formula, x is equal to 9 and y is equal to 10. So C is equal to, we have used the formula 10 minus 9 by 10 into 1 millimeter. If we calculate, we will find 0.01 centimeter. What is the advantage of Vernier scale? We can accurately measure 0.1 millimeter with the help of Vernier scale. But with the help of main scale, we can measure only 1 millimeter. So Vernier scale provides us a accurate measurement. How we can use Vernier scale? To measure the length, we can use length L is equal to main scale reading A into Vernier scale reading B into Vernier constant, that is L is equal to A plus B into C. This is how we can find the accurate measurement of a length. Now we will look at the largest unit to measure a length. The largest unit to measure length is parsec. 1 parsec is equal to 3.26 light year. What is light year? 1 light year is equal to the distance light travel in 1 year. At this period of time, light can travel in empty space is considered to be a light year, and 1 parsec is equal to 3.26 light year. Now we will focus about significant figure. Significant figure, this is necessary for data transmission. In some cases of data transmission, significant figure is a essential thing. So we will see how the significant figure is defined. To know this, we have to focus on this some point. All the non-zero digit are significant number. Look at the example 277. These three number are non-zero. So the significant figure of this number is 3 because they are non-zero. Now we will focus on zero quantity. All the zeros between two non-zero digits are significant. Example 2007. These two numbers are included within 2 and 7. So these two zeros are significant. 2007 have 4 significant figure. Number 3. If the number is less than 1, the 0 on the right of the decimal point but to the left of the first non-zero digit are non-significant. Look at the example. The 0, both sides of left hand side and right hand side, these are the non-significant number. So the significant number is 4 for 2, 3, 0 and 8. Number 4, the terminal or trailing 0 in the number without a decimal point are non-significant. That is 123 meter, 12300 centimeter, 12300 millimeter has 3 significant figure, because this trailing 0, that is after 3 this 20 and after 3 this 30 are non-significant. So we can conclude that if we convert some unit, of amplitude, then the trailing 0 are non-significant. Number 5, the trailing 0 in a number with a decimal point are significant. If there is a decimal number and this includes some zeros, then the 0 will have to calculate in significant figure. Look at the example. 3.500 or 0.6900 both have 4 significant figure according to rule 5. Now we will focus on next part, error in measurement. There are different types of error, that is absolute error, relative error, percentage error. Without this, there are many types of error, like instrumental error, error in instrument, that is instrumental error, error in measurement, that is a error, but we will focus on absolute error, relative error and percentage error. If we look at this picture, we are measuring on sample, we are measuring the length of a sample, but there are 3 observers. One is exactly perpendicular to the line and the rest 2 are according to this figure. If they calculate, if they measure or if they observe the length, then one student will measure 4.8, one student will measure 4.9 and the other will measure 4.7. So what is the accurate value? To avoid this type of problem, we can take average value such as 4.9 plus 4.8 plus 4.7 divided by 3, that is 4.8. In this way, we can avoid some problem. Now, absolute error. Let us consider the case where the practical experiment where measuring the value 4.8 is called the absolute value. That is a mean. If the observation point is a number of observation point is n, then we can say a mean is equal to a1 plus a2 plus a3 dot an divided by n. This is the absolute value. Now we will find the difference. The difference between the true value and the individual measurement is known as the absolute error. That is a mean minus a1 is equal to delta a1. This is the absolute error of a1. A mean minus a2 is equal to delta a2. This is the absolute measurement in measuring the observation point a2. Relative error. The relative error is the ratio of mean absolute error to the mean value of the quantity measured. That is, relative error can be expressed as delta a mean by a mean. Now, percentage error. While the relative error is expressed as percentage, it is called percentage error. Percentage errors can be defined as delta a mean by a mean into 100%. This is known as percentage error of measurement. Now, we will calculate the percentage error of some known and unknown physical quantity, error of a sum or difference. This is the known physical quantity because we have considered a physical quantity z, that is a plus b. How we can calculate the percentage error? Suppose two physical quantity a and b have measured value with error is a plus minus delta a and b plus minus delta b. Error can be positive or negative also. This is why we will consider plus and minus. To find the error in z is equal to a plus b. Measurement of z with error, z plus minus delta z is equal to a plus minus delta a plus b plus minus delta b. That is, if we calculate a plus b plus minus delta a plus delta b, now we will use a z is equal to a plus minus b. So we can find plus minus delta z is equal to plus minus delta a plus delta b. So delta z is equal to delta a plus delta b. Now we will consider the multiplication, error in multiplication. Similarly, if we calculate z is equal to ab, measurement of a with error a plus minus delta a, measurement of b with error b plus minus delta b. So finally we can find z delta z by z is equal to delta a plus minus delta b. Now we can conclude that when two quantities are added, subtracted, multiplied or divided, the relative error in the result is the sum of their relative error. So error can be positive or negative, but the relative error or percentage error always will be the sum of their relative errors. Now calculation of percentage error with some unknown physical quantity. Let us consider a physical quantity z is equal to a to the power m, b to the power minus n, c to the power p, d to the power minus q. We have to calculate the percentage error of this unknown quantity. To calculate the percentage error of this quantity, we have to use some mathematical solution. We are aware of index in mathematics, logarithm in mathematics, and we have to know about the derivative or differentiation. We will learn it later, but with the help of index and logarithm, we can explain the percentage error in z is delta z by z is equal to m into delta a by a minus n into delta b by b minus p into delta c by c plus q into delta d by d. If the question provides us the percentage error of a, that is delta a by a, percentage error in b, that is delta b by b, percentage error in c, that is delta c by c, and percentage error of d, that is delta d by e. So simply we can use delta a by a, delta b by b, delta b c by c, and delta d by d, and we can find the percentage error in delta z by z. This is why we can learn about this lesson. This is one of the easiest lesson, one of the most easiest lesson in class 11, because we are aware of unit, dimension, measurement. The new quantity we have learned are significant figure, calculation of error, measurement of length. So there is some mathematical problems also. We will solve the mathematical problem later. Now thank you.